Hello, welcome back to Knit with Anxiety podcast. My name is Marissa and I'll be your not so anxious little host today. Trying out a whole new setup as you can see here, a whole new microphone. Hopefully the sound quality and visual is all way better now, hopefully. Please let me know down in the comments if something doesn't sound right, if you're not hearing something, if something looks weird. Let me know, please. If you have any questions about what you see around and behind me, also leave those down there. I'll be happy to answer those. We have a very, very full episode today. I'm not on a time crunch, hopefully, if the sun does not decide to be a jerk. I've got a whole lot of FOs. A couple of them are not here because they were gifted. I've got one whip, future cast on plans, acquisitions and stash changes. We're going to go over the 6-month update for the stash, since January. What else? And then we'll get into the weight loss, anxiety, life stuff at the very end. We'll have the contact warning as usual, just in case that's not your bag. That's not your bag, which is totally fine. Date of recording. I'm recording on a Friday, oddly enough. Tomorrow, I'm based in the U.S. Tomorrow is Independence Day. I didn't want to record on a Saturday, so I have the day off today, so I'm recording on July 3rd. This will be up on July 5th. And it is about 12:30 in the afternoon. Oh my God, it's already afternoon. Jeez. How can you tell I've been struggling with getting all of this set up today? I had to pull in the husband to help because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with the sound stuff. And luckily having an audio file and a voice actor for a husband is very helpful when you're struggling with audio. But anyway, let's get into the yarny stuff, shall we, everybody? I'm sorry, my energy is like, whoo! It's been an okay week. The sun has been out, so the vitamin D is coursing through my veins, and I'm happy today. But let us begin. I have all of my notes. My basket is over here, and this whole setup is so different. And I'm trying not to keep looking over at my monitor thing, so I'm gonna try and actually look at the camera more. No promises. But let's get started. I do not have blockers for things because I just didn't freaking want to. Okay, so FO number 1 is sock pair number 11 for 2026 of 26. For those who are new, I am participating in Exterminate's 26 pairs in 2026 sock knitting challenge that she's hosting on Instagram. And this is pair number 11 of 26. I don't even remember where I was on these last episode. I finished them like 2 days after I recorded that episode anyway. So actually I want to triple check. I didn't have them finish. No, I did not. Okay. No, they were a whip last time. Just wanted to triple check. So these are my custom vanilla socks. The leg is significantly longer than I normally do. I normally do, I think, about 40 rows for the legs on my socks. But I wanted to get an entire color repeat in before I did the gusset and the flap, turn, heel, and gusset. But so the yarn, these are mustache yarn, perfect must match in the color Mando and little G. And I made these because my family was going to go see the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. And I wanted to be a nerd, and have Star Wars socks to wear. And I happened to have this colorway from her. So I was able to get those done in time. I wore them to the movie. My family was very freaking jealous. And I'm very happy with how they turned out. They fit really well and they're very comfortable. The way the mustache does her perfect must match socks is it's two 50-gram skeins twisted together, and they start and end at the exact same spot in the sequence, so you can have perfectly matching socks, which was really fun. As someone who really likes to have their socks matching, it was very nice to just pick up the same spot in both balls and just be fine. But that was finished object number 1. Oh, and I did those on a US 1 or 2.25 millimeter needle. All my socks are done on 2.25. Okay. The next thing I do not have with me, next two things I don't have with me because they were gifted. So I'll just read off my notes here and put pictures over here, over the beautiful yarn wall. So finished object number 2 was baby blanket 1 of 3, which I followed the Waterloo by Galt House of Yarn knitting pattern, which is found in Ravelry. All of the patterns I used are linked down below. All the yarn details, all that is linked in the description box. My descriptions are very, very thorough. So for that one, I ended up using a bunch of, like, literally the entire thing was from my stash. I used Loops and Threads Impeccable in the colors Fern and Soft Rose, and then a bunch of different Paintbox Simply Aran yarns in the colors Candyfloss Pink, Blush Pink, Slate Green, Raspberry Pink, Racing Green, Pistachio Green, Champagne White, Slate Gray, Coffee Bean. I had a plethora of colors to use for this one, for this baby blanket, which did go to my stepsister and her husband a couple weeks after I last showed you guys, and from what I've heard from my stepmother, it was very well received. I haven't heard anything from my stepsister specifically, but I've heard it was well received. So that was done on a US 8 or 5 millimeter needle. I don't remember how many hours I put into it. The Waterloo pattern is one that I go to again and again and again when I'm doing a baby blanket, because most of the time when I'm doing a baby blanket, I'm doing it in garter stitch, and I enjoy striping, so I enjoy the way that pattern looks. I do modify it a little bit in that I don't do the in this instance, I did not do the I-cord section of the pattern. It's a free pattern, so it's no big deal for me to talk about this. The pattern has you do the I-cord at the same time, so you end up getting that kind of like bend in the yarn, in the color when it changes direction, because of how I-cord works. I did not do that this time. I just did a selvage edge and then knit the I-cord on afterwards. It's something I do on occasion if I'm doing something in stripes. I don't like to have that kind of weird angle or change in angle that striping typically does along the edge. So I will typically do just an I-cord that's knitted on after. Okay, and then finished object number 3, again, is not with me. This was baby blanket 2 of 3, and this one followed the Meadowland Baby Afghan by Irina Poludnenko pattern. Pattern and photo of baby blanket over here. And this one was only done in 2 yarns. This one was done in Lion Brand Baby Soft in Dusty Green and Lion Brand Mandala in the color Golem, and that was done on a US 7 or 4.5 millimeter needle. This one was a baby blanket pattern I'd had in my Ravelry, like, favorites, I think it is, in my favorites for a while, and I wanted to do it. I loved how it looked. Like, if you've seen the picture, I have it over here, and I was really happy that I had the opportunity to try that out. It's a really nice, it's really easy to follow. I think it's free, but I'm not really remembering the past steps right now. But I did quite enjoy knitting that pattern. And I think I did scale it up a little bit, so I added some extra stitches to make the overall blanket larger, because when I do baby blankets, I like them to be 40-inch squares if I can, 35-inch squares at minimum, just because I really like them to be large enough that the baby and toddler can use them for longer than just the first couple of months of life. I like them to become like the baby's favorite blanket they carry around when they go to the park and things like that. Well-loved blanket. Larger blanket it is, the more well-loved it can be. But I really enjoyed working on that one. The yarns were really nice. I'd worked with Mandala before. I hadn't worked with Baby Soft in like easily almost 10 years, but it definitely has come a long way. It's much nicer. The combo was really nice. The color changes were nice. I think the whole thing worked out really well and looked really good. And hopefully I will hear in a couple of months. The baby that one was intended to was for a coworker. And that baby was due exactly a week ago. So hopefully that little baby is here and the family likes that blanket. I won't know for a couple of months until Dad gets back from paternity leave, but we'll see. And then FO number 4. A lot of FOs, guys. This has not been blocked yet, but I don't care. You may, if you were here last time, you may recall that I mentioned I was going to redo the Musselburgh I was previously working on because I was not happy with the single skein held double from both ends and the way that it kept pooling. I did not like that. It was really bothering me, but I wanted to use the skein up. So what I did was I took 2, you can actually see them kind of up in here. This is some of my Felici stash, my Knit Picks Felici. I had a couple of rando single 50-gram skeins of the Knit Picks Felici that I knew were colors I was never going to personally use. So I decided, because the 2 colors were similar enough, that I could hold them one after another with that single full skein and make a DK weight Musselburgh. And this is something I've done a couple of times now. I think this whole year I've done nothing but DK Musselburghs just because it eats yarn so fast. But so the main full skein was 100 Ravens Patos in the color Roar, and then the 50-gram skeins from Knit Picks that I used were in the colors Dragonboat and a mystery color. So I think this side is the mystery. Yeah. So here's the first side. This is the mystery color side. So it looks so much better. Like, it's stripy, but then because of that way the Patos color changed, it's not pooling. You get the striping, but also get the yellow and the orange and the pinky red popping through. And then this is the side done with Dragonboat. So very different. It ended up looking really freaking cool. I am very, very happy with how this turned out. I'm in, like, these are not colors I would wear. This is 100% intended to be a hat for charity. It's really obvious the difference when you turn it up like that. So it's a 4 layer at the ears, but I'm insanely happy with how this turned out. I highly recommend, if you got some single skeins and some 50-gram skeins, or even a single skein that you don't know what the fuck to do with, and a bunch of scraps, do this. Absolutely do this. I used up so much yarn. I was so freaking happy to get those yarns out of my stash, and now I have a wonderfully warm hat that I can donate to a local homeless shelter or local charity. And yes, I know it's literally just the beginning of summer, but I mean, get your charity hats done now, y'all. Get them done now. If you haven't started Christmas yet, do it now. Because knitting takes a while. It's going to take you a while to get to that point. So that's the 3rd Musselburgh I've made for the year. And this was the DK, and I did that with a US 7 or 4.5 millimeter needle. And I'm very, very happy with how this one turned out. Okay. And then the latest finish, these ones haven't been washed and blocked yet, so they're a little crunchy. So these are FO number 5 and pair number 12 for the Exterminate 26 pairs in 2026 sock knitting challenge. Oh, those look so freaking cool. These ones, as you can tell, big man feet. These are intended for my husband. One of the things I did back in January was I let him just have his run of the stash and pick out some yarns he would want made into socks. And I went through, I think, a month or so ago, and I actually put, based on how long the yarn had been in my stash, my Ravelry stash at least, and I put in the order what I was going to knit the socks in, and this one popped up. And so my husband gets another pair of socks. So these were done in Patons Kroy sock in the turquoise stripes, and Gentry gray was used for the heels on these. And these are insanely fun They fit my husband perfectly. He loves them. He loves his Patons Kroy socks because they are wonderful when it gets hella freaking cold here in the winter. Those were done like all my other socks on a US 1 or 2.25 millimeter needle. So that's all the FOs. Told you guys, there's a lot of FOs. There was a lot of finishes in the last month because I was a speed demon. I had to get things done, and I got them done. So, alrighty. So, okay. On to whips. I only have one whip currently, just because I finished a pair of socks literally last night. But I have started baby blanket number 3 of 4. So move my little marker here so that I know where I'm at next month for you guys. So, and there's a lot of ends on it. But this is the start of the next baby blanket. And this one is the pattern called Shifted Chevron Blanket by Teresa Bandy. That'll be linked below so you guys can go find it. I have gotten to the point where I'm just starting to work up the side edge here. The pattern picture is over here as usual, so you guys will understand what I'm talking about here in a second. But this one is free, so I can talk about it. This is think, like as you see in the picture, it's a offset chevron. So it's got the one point in the chevron, but then it just goes into straight lines of color. And essentially what you do is you keep doing the actual chevron until from this edge to the center is 1/4 the width you want the whole blanket to be. And then you start to work up the side. So I've literally just started working up this side here, and will continue to increase over here until it's as wide as I want it to be, and then I'll work up this side and close off the corners. But this one is obviously for another little girl, and all purples. I was very grateful to have a parent tell me I could do purple and not pink. Pink is not my jam, guys. It's really not. Like my reds is very minimal. I'm not a pink or red person, or even yellow or orange. My haven is in the neutrals and the blues and the purples, as you can tell by how stuffed these things are. So in all, I'm using, let me see if I can do this without making a whole bunch of noise. Oh my lord. So I'm using red. This light purple here is Red Heart, Super Savor, and Pale Plum. And then this one right here, this kind of muted purple, is Lion Brand, Pound of Love in the color Thistle. And then using Loops and Threads Impeccable in the colors Amethyst and Lavender. So this one here is the lavender, and then I think this one is the amethyst. This really dark purple is the amethyst. And then the gray is Paintbox, Simply Aran, and Slate Gray. I have a lot of this Slate Gray left over still, so I'm trying to use that up as best I can. And I think I will use a considerable amount from my stash to get that out. So, and these all are worsted or Aran weight yarns. So the blanket is Aran weight, so it'll use up a lot of yarn, get a lot of yarn out, a lot of grams out of my stash, which will be nice. Because I need those grams to go down. We'll get to that later, but I need the grams to go down. I'm doing that on a US 8 or 5 millimeter needle. This one has to be done. I'm going to try and get it done by September because there's a big company event. And this one's for another coworker, his first baby. And I really want to be able to give this to his wife when we do our big company event with the spouses and all that. So we'll see how that goes. If not, I just give it to him. He takes it home and texts me later. But yeah, so that's the Shifted Chevron blanket. And that's very new. Only got a few hours into it. And I will continue to work on that one as the time goes on. Okay, so that is my one and only whip. Get that out of the way. Okay, the Jelly Roll, i.e. 5 years as a homeowner temperature blanket, is still very much in hibernation. I'm not sure that one's going to come back out for the rest of the year, just because I've got so many socks to make and blankets and things like that. but we'll see. I completed 2 years on it. I've got 3 more years left to go on it, but we'll see how that goes. But I'm not going to hold my breath right now. Okay, so we are now going to go into future cast-ons. I worked out a whole schedule with making sure I get the 26 pairs in 2026 per the challenge. I am currently 3 pairs behind, which really sucks. The blankets took up a lot of my time in June. I'm very, very behind. But I think if I can really, really focus for a couple of weeks, I can get those 4 pairs done or get the 3 pairs finished and then be halfway through the next pair when I record next. So I'm going to show you guys the next 4 yarns I'll be using beforehand. So the next one on my list is Patons Kroy in the color Blue Raspberry, which these ones will be for me. It's blues, purples, and whites. This is my jam. My husband doesn't wear these. This is me. Those ones are already in my Bags by Awesome Granny project bag. So those are ready to go. I will be casting this on later today. And hopefully those will be done in like next week. And then after that one, and you guys, if you've been around for a while, you've seen this before, but then the next color I will be doing is General Store from Knit Picks in their Felici line. This is 2 years old, I think. Yeah, this was the new release in 2024, I believe. So this is the next one I'll be doing after Blue Raspberry, followed by Frankie from the same release. And then this is the one I should be part of the way done with when we get to the next episode. When I record the July recap episode, I should be working on these, which is the color Board Shorts. And that'll be hopefully 4 more pairs of socks done. And then I'll hopefully be caught up and then I won't have to worry about it. Hopefully. We'll see. But so that is all of the FOs, whips, and future cast-ons. I'm now going to get into the stash conversation. So acquisitions and stash changes. I only had one thing come in my stash this month, which was my Yarnaceous 2026 Parks and Fossils Club. This is the Grand Canyon National Park with the North Rim, and it is beautiful. Like, oh my lord. That is absolutely beautiful. Right up my alley. I'm so excited. And of course, it came with its little marker, which is a really cool thing. All of her yarn of the months come with a marker that's specific to the yarn of the month, which is really, really cool. But yeah, so I have that now. That's the only thing that came in my stash. Nothing else came in. So this will get tucked away probably in the purple. Probably in the purple because it's kind of purple. But so that's the only thing that came in. So now everything's going to be off my notes here. So that is 120 grams into my stash. The Mando and Grogu socks, which is paired 11 of 26, was 66 grams out. Baby blanket number 1 was 794 grams out. Baby blanket number 2 was 424.25 grams out. The Musselburgh number 3 for the year was 187 grams out. And the Patons Kroy vanilla socks, or pair number 12, were 85 grams out, for a total out of 1,556 and 25.25 grams, for a total net negative 1,436.25 grams. So I'm negative for the month of June. Hallelujah freaking Luya. Was I negative last month? No, I was not. I was not negative last month. I am negative this month. Thank God. Thank goodness. Oh my gosh. That was oof. Having so many months and not being in the negative has been really hard. But so that leads into the 2026 grams in and out 6-month update. I did not take a full inventory of everything before the year started. I just didn't think about it. I've just been tracking how many grams are going in and out, just to try and, have more out than in general. Next year I may go through and do a full complete inventory, although there's a lot in here. I don't know if I want to do a full inventory because I might crap my pants or something because there's a lot. I am right now I'm just want to really focus on getting more out than in. But so based on my little spreadsheet tracker, so far this year I've had 7,520 grams come in, 3,958.05 grams go out for a net positive of 3,561.95 grams in. So positive on the net in. And then my monthly average, because I also keep a monthly average. My monthly average in has been 1,074.29 grams. Monthly average for grams out was 565.44 grams. And my monthly average net was positive 274 grams. Now, this was because March and April were really bad purchasing months. March and April were easily over 2,000 grams in each, like, or around that. They were between the 2 months was almost 5,000 grams alone. So that's why. My hope is to literally only, for the rest of the year, only have these come in. That's my hope. Or if I need like one ball to finish a project, like I'm trying really, really hard not to buy yarns beyond just the yarn of the month. And I think it's because having the yarn of the month, just having that one thing a month come in is really deterring me from buying a bunch of really, really random yarns. So I think that's helpful. But yeah, so I'm not like too upset with how the grams have gone. It's not ideal, obviously. Like I'm not like super, super happy about it, but, it is what it is. Like, this is the first year I'm doing the tracking and everything, so I can't expect that I'm going to be perfect right out the gate. That's just unrealistic. Things happen. Life moves on. Life is nuts, especially right now. If you're in the US, you know what I'm talking about. And it's, there's a lot of stress, and when we're stressed, we buy things, and I did that for sure in March and April because it was a really stressful month. But so that is all of the yarning related stuff. So I'm going to start getting into the weight loss, anxiety, and life stuff. So content warning on those things. If that's not your jam, no big deal. I will see you guys next month. Thanks for sticking around as long as you have. Yeah, I guess we'll get started on that. So update on the weight loss. I'm still maintaining my 40 pounds of loss, which is really good. I've had some medication changes. I was on a prescription weight loss medication, not a GLP-1, and it was not really helping. The side effects were actually really terrible. So I spoke with my doctor, and we will be moving me to a GLP-1, hopefully the next couple of weeks if things with the freaking pharmacy get worked out. So I'll be starting that hopefully in the next 2 weeks. I'm really trying to focus on not eating out because that's always a problem. I need to move more for sure, but I really I've been having a lot of issues around post-dinner snacking and late night snacking, which doesn't help with the acid reflux that I deal with, or just my eating in general consumes a lot of calories that I don't have available by the end of the day. So I'm hoping that because I'm already further along than most people are when they start the GLP-1, that it'll help kind of curb the thing that keeps telling me, oh, you need to eat something, you need to eat something, you need to eat something, when I don't actually need to. I'm trying to do all kinds of preventative things. So I don't want to do them home. I don't want the muscle loss that can happen with GLP-1. I don't want the excess skin, or at least I know excess skin is going to be a thing for me. This is uncomfortable for me to share, but this is normal. This will be normal for me, but it's literally because that's my actual arm. My actual arm should be here. I've already lost a lot in my arms, and I can, in the mirror, I can see definition on my arms, and the loose skin is going to be a more point of reality for me because of how heavy I was for so long. That's just my reality. And I know there are definitely ways to help mitigate that when you're on a GLP-1, because the GLP-1 is known to make you drop fat really fast or drop weight really fast. which I don't want to happen. I want it to be hopefully as gradual as possible, so it's not a complete shock to my system, so I'm not, dropping a crap ton. But, I'm hoping that it'll kind of like help with me further rewiring how I view food and how my brain looks at food, and reconnect my brain to my stomach, so I actually am hungry when I'm actually hungry and not just hungry for the sake of boredom or things like that. So that's going to be the next step, is the GLP-1 and trying to be more active again, to mitigate the potential muscle loss. Anxiety has been kind of weird. I've kind of stopped consuming recreational fun drugs. I live in Oregon where it's completely legal, so that's a thing I've been doing for a few years. But I stopped I want to say like a month ago. I stopped consuming it altogether, which was not great for like my overall chest and, not chest, but my shoulder and neck pain, which was the reason I was using it. Really high on the CBD pain relief, not so high on the THC stuff. Just because really too much THC would give me major panic and anxiety attacks. But I stopped using it altogether because the anxiety attacks were becoming really like way more frequent, and I was really struggling to like control myself when I started to have an anxiety attack, or not even control myself, but like kind of recognize it was a anxiety attack. Like it would just kind of come over me and I couldn't really do anything to stop it. My tools wouldn't work. And they just were happening really frequently with all the stuff that's been going on in my life with family and stuff, which we'll talk about in a second. So I stopped doing that altogether to help with that, and I think it's been helping. The only issue with that is that it's also, by not consuming it, I am way more in my brain, and that's preventing me from doing trauma release body work, like somatic work, to let the trauma my body's been holding be released. It's much easier to do that when my brain is, been disconnected essentially because of them, which is not unheard of. It's very normal. But it also just means that I have to be more okay letting go of things when I'm trying to do that somatic work, when I'm trying to release the things from my body and like allow myself to sit in the emotions for a moment for the time that they need and then just let them go. That's the really big practice I've been doing recently, is just recognizing the anxiety, the pain, the fear, the anger, whatever it is, finding where it is in my body and just kind of recognizing it and then letting it go. Somatic work is hard, guys. It's really hard. Because when you start doing somatic work, even if it's I wasn't intentionally doing somatic work, it just kind of happened. But it's like when you start to do this, you'll do something like I started using a lacrosse ball to like work out stiff muscles to help with my nerve entrapment in my hips. And by doing that, I found spots on my body where I can tell trauma is being held because of how they react when I go over them with the lacrosse ball, and like what it invokes in my body and how it makes me feel. And like a couple of times I've like started to cry randomly because there's so much just being held in that spot in my body. And it's weird. It's really, really weird to be kind of doing an action to release tension, and having it bring up something like that all of a sudden is very jarring. It's forcing me to do a lot of what I would call reframing. I'm having to do a lot of reframing about how I view my body and accepting of my body no matter what state it's in. I started doing the when I'm feeling really emotional or like I'm trying to work with myself in the mirror, I'll start tapping on my chest to kind of recenter myself, and I'll even give myself a hug and repeat to myself that I am grateful for my body. I'm grateful for everything it went through. I'm recognizing that my body, with all this stuff I'm going through, all this stuff I'm processing, realizing that my body put all this weight on to protect me because things were not safe, and that's something to honor. It's not something to not something to degrade or look down upon. It's my body did what it needed to do to protect me, which is not something bad. That's what the body's meant to do. So I have to go through these moments of being like literally looking myself dead in the eye and being like, thank you, body, for protecting me. Thank you for doing this. You don't need to do it anymore. We're in a safe space, we're in a safe relationship, a safe home, and it isn't necessary anymore. You can let the walls down, you can let the fear go, which is really hard. It is really, really hard, but I'm finding that with repeated sessions of doing this kind of radical self-love, that it's being very helpful in releasing the stuff, and also like learning to love myself again, more like love myself for the first time, really. And really accept that I'm human, because that was one of my issues for a long time, was that I didn't think I was allowed to be human. I thought I had to be perfect all the time, and that is some serious trauma that we'll talk about in a moment, that I'm working with. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff around the anxiety. It's not really manifesting as anxiety. It's not stopping me in most aspects of life. It's definitely still a problem for when it comes to the gym. Like, I'm still being observed, trying something, even though I've done it before, that just being observed by a lot of people thing is really, really difficult for me. And that's something I have to work on. I know that. So I keep trying to remind myself of the do it scared phrase. Just like, I'm terrified to do this. Do it scared. Just fucking do it scared. Which is really hard when you've spent your entire life not doing like anything because you were scared. But so that's the anxiety stuff. Life and hobby stuff. My garden is in. The garden is in. It's been in for about 2 weeks now, and tomorrow will be another succession planting day. We did our first round of post-planting fertilizing yesterday. I'll put in a bunch of videos and photos and whatnot, hopefully, if I can remember. We put in so many things. We've got 2 different types of bell peppers, banana peppers, 2 types of cucumbers, a bunch of herbs, onions, 2 different types of radish, 2 different types of lettuce, spinach, what else? We're going to try and do cabbage, we're trying to do broccoli, green beans, peas, 6 different varieties of tomatoes for different things, like 3 different varieties of potatoes. Like, we've just gone ham with the whole thing, and I'm really happy with how it's all turned out. I'm really hoping that we see a harvest, hopefully maybe early next month, or start to see things we can pull. I think we're due to be able to pull the first round of radishes by early next month, a couple weeks, which would be really freaking cool to be able to pull the radishes. The first succession of radishes, I should say. But it's been really nice. It's a thing my husband and I do every day. We go out, we take our water meter, we check if the soil needs to be watered, we look at the plants, see who's getting eaten by what, if we can. I think a lot of our like protection planting has been helpful. The herbs and stuff that we planted around certain vegetables has been helping to deter those vegetables from getting eaten. All of the harm has been done to the herbs themselves, which is fine. That's like the whole point. That's the whole reason we planted them there, was to protect the actual plants, the plants that are gonna get bigger and be fruitful. But it's been really fun, trying to learn all these different things, all these different requirements for all these different vegetables and whatnot, and it was like waiting patiently after you've sown something from seed in the ground, and waiting a week and a half for it to sprout is nerve-wracking. Like, when we were waiting for the green beans, oh my god, waiting for the green beans to come up was so freaking hard. But now we've seen, like, all the green beans are coming up. Like, our first round of beans is up. Like really, like they're like this freaking tall now. Like got really big leaves. We put in, I think last weekend or last Sunday, the next little succession of beans, a different variety of beans. We get to plant the next succession of, I think, cabbage and broccoli and radishes and lettuce. Like a whole nother round of succession of things gets planted tomorrow morning. So that's really exciting to be able to move on from there. Our potatoes came in last week, so we were able to plant those in the grow bags. Nothing's died. Nothing's just fucking flat dead, which is really nice. Helps that we check it every day and water as we can, and fertilize as we can. So, but yeah, that's been really fun doing that. Definitely taking up a lot of knitting time. When we do like a full garden session, it's like an hour and a half of just being out there and checking on things and checking trellises. And trellising tomatoes is a pain in the butt. It is a pain in the butt. My cucumbers are not yet ready to be trellised. I'm gonna have to trellis the peas really soon, because those are gonna be ready to trellis up for sure really soon. But yeah, so the garden is in, and I hope you've enjoyed the little bits and clips of that. Next big life thing, I'm gonna be an aunt. My brother and sister-in-law told us on Father's Day that they are pregnant, expecting their first baby. So if you caught earlier, I said blanket 3 of 4, because that's adding a 4th blanket that I'm gonna need to do. They're due in, I think, early January is what they said. I have a lot of mixed feelings on it. Like excitement's one of them, but then it also is coupled with like, if I'm honest, it's coupled with like envy and jealousy a little bit. And I felt like that about both them and my stepsister having a baby, and like my husband and I are still very undecided on it, but financial safety is a component of it. And I guess a lot of the jealousy and envy comes from them being in a place financially in this economy where they can do this, where they can have a kid and be gone from work and do all these things. And it's really hard as someone who grew up comparing themselves to everyone else to not feel like I'm failing miserably because of how paycheck to paycheck we live. And like, we looked over our financials more and we looked at it. It's like, oh, my husband literally took like a $5,000 loss when he changed apartments last May or last March. And like, I haven't gotten a pay increase in 2 years. Like, both of us are like looking at our pay and being like, oh, we haven't been probably compensated in a while. So we're having a lot of conversations about that, and like, we're trying to do stuff to get our finances better situated. It's taken a while after buying the house to kind of get out of the bad space of the house poor that comes with buying your first house. So I know that we're lucky. I know we're lucky in the regard that we were able to buy a house when we did. But it's like, we need to replace my husband's car. Like, my husband's car needs to go. It is a complete and utter money pit. It's not easily maintained. It runs out of oil all the damn time. Like, we need to get rid of his car and upgrade mine and give him my car. Like, we need to be able to do those things, and we can't do those things. And like, we can't go on trips. There's a lot of things we can't do because we don't make enough money to do them, let alone have a kid. Like, having a child is not in the freaking equation right now. We don't make enough money at all to do that, to cover the expenses of having a child by any freaking means. Absolutely. Like, we don't even have the money to cover medical expenses from an unforeseen medical event. Like, we literally don't. We have insurance, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't help us much. So that is a major component of why I'm feeling a lot of envy and jealousy of just looking at my stepsister and her husband, my brother and his wife, and being like, wow, you guys are just doing real good financially, and you can have a child, and you can remove that anxiety and have that major component, because ultimately that's the bigger component when you have a kid, is the financial side of it. Like, what's going on in the world is not a big component to a lot of people, because that doesn't directly affect them most of the time. So I don't know. It's one of those things. I'm feeling all kinds of ways. And the next thing I'll talk about is kind of another component of why I'm not sure how I feel. I'm having some serious issues with my mother at the moment. Without giving a whole lot of detail, in doing all of my somatic and trauma work in the last few months, I've learned a lot of things about my childhood and how I was treated in my childhood that have left me wondering, why do I put up with this? Why do I put up with these people? And especially for my mom. A lot of things have been unlocked, and I'm learning that my mother was very emotionally abusive, very emotionally neglectful, very dismissive, and it's causing a lot of problems for me. I haven't seen my mom in almost 3 months. I'm literally seeing her tomorrow because she's going to be at the party. There was an interaction in the last few weeks where my husband actually got involved and, for lack of better phrasing, tore her apart, for her ignorance. And just, yeah, it's really difficult to look at your childhood and realize that you've been essentially living a lie and putting on a face, and that because of it, you don't know who you are. I've learned a lot more about complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which I definitely have. I've essentially learned a lot about how my childhood and how I was raised really affected who I am now, and if you experience something similar, I highly recommend you go do the research about what were perceived as very minor things. And, when we were growing up, when us younger millennials were growing up, or millennials in general, like how we were growing up and how we were parented, there was some serious damage to a lot of us. A lot of us have similar issues, and that was because of a parenting style that had been adopted at the time. I think the difference for me is that mine goes further back. A lot of what I experienced is also linked to my grandparents. That generational trauma, gotta love it. So I'm doing the work to undo that generational trauma, and that is hard. It's very hard, especially when the parent who is not willing to acknowledge their part in your damage is dismissive and tries to tell you, you're not a black sheep. What the hell are you talking about? It's like, you're not getting the point. You didn't watch the video. There is work to be done, and I'm hoping that after talking to my therapist next week that she'll have some better insights. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff, and it's that in learning all these things about my childhood and about my mother, I have a growing concern for my brother and stepsister around when they have when their child is born, because my sister-in-law's mom and my mom are very similar in the kind of people that they are, and I am really worried that any boundaries or parenting methodologies that they try and deploy will be ignored, and that their boundaries will be ignored, and that they won't be listened to, and that no one will be there to advocate for them. And I don't want that. As the one of my brother and I whose boundaries were broken and pushed and ignored on a regular basis growing up, and still are at 31, I do not want them and their kid to go through that. I don't want to sit there and watch it happen again. So it's, yeah, because of what happened with my mom in the last month, my sister-in-law, my brother are going to come over next month, and we're going to have a serious talk about what our childhood was like, because apparently my sister-in-law has questions. My sister-in-law is just as confused about where a lot of the things with me come from. My brother doesn't really remember much of his childhood, so, and that doesn't surprise me. So there's going to be a very serious talk, and a lot of tears are going to happen, but a talk needs to happen. They need to know, like, what our reality was and is, and how it's still affecting us and still affects me. And I'm hoping that brings about better communication between the four of us. And I hope that opens a door for my brother to maybe examine things himself. And to maybe even get closer to me. I don't know. That's the hope, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. That's kind of it. Like, I'm not anxious, but I'm angry because I'm at that stage in healing where I'm angry a lot. I'm also feeling very impatient. Like, I want the healing to be done. Like, the healing process is so slow and so painful, and it's necessary, but my God, is it slow. And it's difficult. It's really difficult as someone who's not patient to go through a very, very slow process. It's really hard. It is a major lesson in patience for me, and I like to think I'm doing better, but I don't know. That's where knitting comes in. Knitting comes in and saves me most of the time. I think that was all I had for you guys. Yeah, I think that's everything I had. I went over all the yarny stuff, all the 6-month grams in and out. Yeah, I think that's it. Please let me know if you like this setup and if the audio ended up being better. I think everything ended up being better, with the scene change, the mic change. I think everything looks and sounds a lot better now. But please let me know your feedback. If something didn't work for you or something was bothersome, let me know. I'll see if I can change it. I'll try and change it and adjust it. But I think that's it. So I guess my little tidbit to leave you guys with is, you're a human being. Be nice to yourself. Give yourself grace. Your perfection is impossible. It's not human. To fail is to be human. I know it's a really hard one in today's society. Very hard one for me too. We will heal together, my friends. We will heal together. That's all I've got. So I'll see you guys next month. Bye.